everybody, it's Celestine, and here is Laura.
Hello! Thank you so much for having me as a guest. I really appreciate that, and we're gonna have a great time.
Yay! So Laura also plays in the game that I've been talking about that I play, Attaway.
Attaway.
Laura plays Sal, none other than the infamous Sal herself. So Laura, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about you a little bit, and tell us about Sal.
Okay. Hello. My name is Laura. I play in Attaway with Celestine. If you've been following their videos, you've probably heard Sal mentioned
a lot.
A lot. Sal is. Where do I even start with Sal? Sal is a street urchin, very much a like street kid kind of a person. Grew up on her own, never really had a home or a fixed home or a family, and so to deal with a lot of the loss in her life, Sal developed kleptomania. And one of her entire motivations is shiny stuff.
My hair looks awful.
Your hair looks great. She loves to collect odd little trinkets, maybe things that don't actually have much actual value, but just things she sees that she wants, and she keeps them in.
And they have value to her.
A lot of them do have significant emotional value to her, though not all of them, and she hides them in lots of pockets about her costume.
What was it I said earlier? Sal equals pockets and kleptomania.
Her entire character development is pockets
and kleptomania.
So Sal, so she was living on the streets of Brightboro, which is the city in which Attaway is set. So she's living on the streets, no family, no one really she's connected to, until one day she picks the wrong pocket, and that is the pocket of Crow, who sort of adopts her, ends up being like very much a mentor and a father figure to her, teaches her things, teaches her how to be a better criminal, but also teaches her how to be a better person. And eventually, Crow brought her to Attaway, where she became a runner, and her job is both to distribute the product of Attaway, but also she definitely has a specialty in acquisitions. Pretty much anytime we've had any kind of heist mod, Sal's been central to it. Anytime it's a go get a thing and don't get caught.
Cheese heist, cheese heist, cheese heist, cheese heist.
Yeah, cheese heist was a joke I started in the Slack. That was me.
That was all Laura.
And it just caught on. Everyone just started chanting cheese heist. Everyone was just ready to chant cheese heist all the time, and so.
And now, whenever anybody at another LARP hypes Attaway.
Cheese heist,
cheese heist, cheese heist, cheese heist. It's just the thing that happens.
Kind of meme. And yeah, and last event
that's probably really loud, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I wasn't thinking about it either. It's gonna be fine.
Well, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. Fine. It's fine. There are gonna be so many like Attaway in jokes in this video. It's not even funny.
We should try to keep them to a minimum if we can, but
what fun is that?
Fair. But yeah, I have a lot of fun playing Sal. She's had a lot of development.
She has.
From her inception. Like, I originally planned on playing her as someone very shy, very in the corner, watching everybody else, very, like, withdrawn, not easily trusting. But then I got to E1.
That's Melly, so we already had one of those, so.
But then I got to E1, and actually what I found was that anyone who belongs to Attaway, Sal trusts. Sal, like, by the time we got to E2 and E3, she'd really sort of found her niche, found her people, found the place she could be comfortable.
And she's kind of Attaway's mascot.
I once a staff member actually once referred to Sal, Orpheus, and Crow together as the beating heart of Attaway, and that actually meant a lot to me. I was not expecting how much Sal as a character would just have so much love in her heart for the people of Attaway, and like so much protectiveness for them, because this is the first family she's ever had. This is and they feel protective of Sal too.
I mean, I would not be surprised if we asked Hex's player and the other characters that were involved in the planning of the Wendigo fight. I would not be surprised if they said, we definitely were trying to keep Sal out of the main fight.
I mean, yeah, she's not built to be a fighter, even though she totally thinks she can. She's a scrappy one. I fight with a pair of fist boffers mainly, so Sal is just doing fisticuffs most of the time. Actually, if you wanna, can just to show off what a fist boffer is,
which are done in a previous video, but you know what? What's a video without fist boffers, right?
Yeah, these are the weaponry, very similar to what Sal uses. This is Melly's pair, but
but I think Sal's are shorter.
Sal's are a little bit shorter because Sal is a little bit
Sal's
shorter.
are tiny. Like Laura's actually not that tiny. Laura's, I think you're about the same height I am. Maybe even a little taller.
A little bit close to that. I'm pretty average height, but something I love about the way I play and about the way I play with the other people is that I've noticed that, like, it doesn't matter how tall someone is in real life. When you get in game and you get into the character mindset, you start to like feel different sizes, like
and you perceive other people, because like Sal, like Laura's my height or a little taller, but in my head Sal's a tiny little thing.
Sal's much shorter than Melly. It's the same thing with Crow. My friend who plays Crow, my friend Dean, he in real life is shorter than I am, but when we get to Attaway
and he brings out dad voice
and he puts on the crow character and the crow coat, as it were, he feels to me much bigger, and that's because Sal very much literally looks up to him. He is a larger
literally and figuratively.
He is a larger than life figure to her. It's like, it's strange when we go into combat situations and his character gets hurt, goes into bleeding and crying, because Sal sees him as totally untouchable. And like
he got shot like what 3 times last event?
No, just the once.
Just the once. No, it's fine. Just once.
It's fine.
I thought he got hit at least twice. In like 2 different mods.
He might have, yeah.
Because he got shot on the one that I went on.
We were on that same mod.
Okay.
We were absolutely both on that mod.
Okay.
I think it was just once.
Okay. We might have to ask Dean. Just to clarify.
But yeah, that's something I enjoy with Sal, is just getting to play with other people. It really surprised me how many people loved her and felt protective of her and care about her. I mean, it's funny because like Melly and Sal are very much an odd couple. Like like you would not expect these two characters to be friends. You would not expect them to be as close as they are, because Sal is a little chaotic good
scamp
and Melly is a very
chaotic neutral.
I was gonna say like straight-laced woman of science, but okay.
I mean, chaotic neutral is not too far off, though.
Okay.
Like, you wouldn't expect her to be chaotic, but she is.
That's something I'm excited to see in later events, because you have been talking about how the contaminated brew that Melly consumed is changing her.
It is. I mean, and the thing is like what makes her so uncomfortable about it is that the changes are, in her mind, they're not changes so much as they're just, and it's true to a certain extent, of they're just bringing down her walls and her inhibition so that she's actually just showing what's really inside, which is not necessarily what she wants to be shown. So, like, you know, and I mean, obviously it's also changing her, but a lot of what's first going to be coming out is what's already been there. And so for Melly, it's very much a situation of like, well, I don't like this about myself. This is why I kept it so far under wraps, but now it's coming out. And so even when it starts to go further into it actually changing who she is, she's not going to see it as changing who she is. She's going to see it as, oh, wow, I was even worse than I thought I was.
That's going to be a lot of fun to play with.
Yes.
I have a lot of fun RPing with Celestine. The it's funny, the friendship between Melly and Sal really started in the second event when Melly consumed the contaminated brew in front of Sal. Melly actually pulled Sal aside and said,
and it was basically like, hey, I'm going to tell you my life story. I'm going to tell you about how sometimes I have these compulsions that I can't stop because insatiable curiosity, and so sometimes I do things that I shouldn't do, but I'm telling you this because I trust you.
And that was those were the magic words, because I trust you, because suddenly there's someone who trusts Sal, someone who's depending on her to get her to get them back to the still safely and find help.
Yeah, because then it was like because I trust you, and at that point Sal was like, what? Wait, what?
Oh yeah, Celestine really sprung this on me. I was not,
and I should have asked. I should have asked permission from Laura beforehand, because that's good LARP etiquette. But in my head, I was like, I'm pretty sure that Laura is kind of up for anything. And it's not like...
We had talked a little bit,
yeah.
Prior of, like, we both are very interested in the heightened emotions and the emotional intensity, because we're all looking for we're all looking for a place to experience these emotions safely, and to almost experience these emotions at arm's length, so we can then look at them and be like, okay, so here is what I'm learning from that. That's like this entire, because this is my first LARP. I believe it's your first LARP as well.
Yeah. But you have the benefit of having at least being in PCing, where I had not even been doing that. I just jumped straight in.
No
head
shame
first.
No, this is my first time playing a LARP and examining some things about myself through this character I've created.
LARP is therapy.
Well, it's not.
It's really not.
LARP, here's what I think. LARP is definitely not therapy. It's not a replacement for therapy.
It's not.
However, it can be very therapeutic. And there is a difference. Like, it's not...
Yes.
This is in no way a replacement for, like, trained professional help, but it is a good way to experience emotions that I probably would not want to. And it's easy when it's your character experiencing them and not you. It makes it, again, it gives you some distance, and it allows you to like, in a safe space, examine those emotions. One of the things about, like, Sal, this kind of getting a little heavy here, one of the two big things I look to experience with Sal is, in the sense of heavy emotional stuff, is the way she deals with loss. Is a lot like how I deal with loss, which is either to hold on really, really tight until I strangle something, or to isolate myself and to not engage with something for fear of losing it. But with Sal, I can kind of experience these things in a way that's easy for me to pick up, look at critically, and then be able to put away and not have to continue living in them. They're a lot easier to discard when it's Sal,
because it's not real loss.
Yeah. I'm always going to be able to again, find the people playing the characters that have been lost.
Right.
I'm always going to still have them, even though in the last event, if you watched Celestine's last video, Attaway still was burned down, and although that was a huge blow for Sal, I know that I'm still going to be able to go back to that same place with those same people and still have another wonderful experience there.
But it won't be the same place next event.
Yes, we are going to be in a different
Oh,
location,
man.
which we're very hyped for. We have an amazing staff. I want to just shout out to our staff who have just been so great, and I love that they're really taking this. We don't have the same location to play at for this event, so let's write that into the narrative.
Right.
I love that they wrote that into the
Me
narrative.
too. We were talking earlier, we were like, that because there were a lot of players that were not able to attend E3 for various reasons. And, I said, there was a moment when the staff were talking about it, they were like, should we push this back because there are so many people who can't attend. But they really couldn't because it had to coincide with us not being able to get the same venue for the next event. So,
and there's also that wonderful sense of realism of,
we really
this
will.
is happening.
Right.
This is like, you can't push back something
right.
like that.
Right. Like we as the players will be just as uncomfortable as our characters because we will also be in a new, unfamiliar place, and maybe, I don't know, we don't know where it's going to be yet, but wherever it is, like, I know for sure I've never been there. Like, some of the other players will have been there for other LARPs or other events, depending on where it ends up being, but I know I will not, so it's going to be a totally new place for me, as well as for Melly. We do know, like, in-game, it's going to be somewhere in Lowtown, which Melly's never really been to. I mean, she probably has, but she's never spent a lot of time there.
Yes, because Melly's a Hightowner.
Melly's a Hightowner.
Sal is a Wharf kid, so while not necessarily, like, the dregs of Lowtown, she's still considered like one of the people, like, at the bottom of the pyramid, as like like from where she's like almost from the gutter, and which is another great contrast to play with,
because Melly really has kind of adopted Sal as a little sister.
Yeah, just because of
which is weird because Sal's the one that's like feeling responsible for Melly.
Yeah, because before Melly drank the bad brew, right before she did, the last thing she said to Sal was, "I trust you," and that really led to Sal sort of feeling responsible for looking after Melly, for making sure that, like, she doesn't rush headlong into danger driven by her curiosity.
Oh man, Friday night, E3, going after the Wendigo, and I wasn't even thinking about it. That was like, I think that was another thing, that was another moment where I just wasn't even thinking, I was just doing. Somehow I ended up in front of, like, the rest of the group, and the Wendigo had fled into the woods, and I was like, fuck, I'm going after it. I'm going after it. And I could hear Sal behind me going, oh no, she's got that look in her eye.
Yeah, that was a wonderful scene because, like, the Wendigo has been such a source of fear for Sal, even though she's not gifted and therefore is not directly threatened by the Wendigo. A lot of her friends are gifted. A lot of her friends are in danger from this beast, and she does want to protect them. She greatly fears losing anybody else because she has experienced much loss in her life. So when Melly hightailed it after the Wendigo, Sal's first instinct,
like, what happened with everybody? Like, was everybody else even still going after it, or like I really hadn't? Because I was just like straight beeline.
Here's the thing about Celestine and LARP is that when Celestine is into Melly, into, like, so deep into the character, they tend to just lose track of everybody else.
I really do.
And I mean, it's great though, because
So, like, did everybody else basically at that point go, okay, well, it's gone, so we're gonna go back and see how Chuck is doing?
Actually,
or
no, a lot of people, there were some people who like went back to see what had happened to somebody who'd been hit with a rending. A couple people, I know Lawrence actually circled back around the still
okay.
to see if it was backtracking.
Oh, Lawrence.
I love Lawrence. And but most people actually stood and watched Sal and Melly talk, because while like Sal actually was the one who talked Melly out of chasing the Wendigo into the woods by herself.
Right at the edge of the woods.
Sal like caught her by her shoulders and was just like, no, you can't go alone. Or like, not you can't, but you have to wait. You have to wait for the rest of us to follow behind you. You have to wait for backup. You have to, like, we're all here to help each other. That's something that, like, that Attaway has really built, is this community thing.
It is,
and
because it's a cooperative game, and staff is very clear about it being a cooperative game, and if you can do player versus player if you want, but it all has to be very consensual. It all has to be discussed beforehand, and which, so Indigo's player and I have been kind of talking a little bit about maybe some stuff that might happen between Melly and Indigo.
I'm looking forward to that, because everyone has created such a compelling character, and every time I go, I'm like, I want to talk to them. I want to RP with them. I want to have
it's so like there are so many of them that you just can't, like,
there's no time. There's
no
time.
You can't
There's
get to
not
everybody.
enough time in the weekend to have all the RP you want.
And Melly's like me in that she kind of like chooses her people, and then like those are her people.
Honored.
Sal is definitely her people.
I mean, I love the relationship, because it does give Sal like such a sense of responsibility, because even though there is not a lot that Sal can control in this world, in the world of Attaway. And I think she's also felt like some of her control over her environment slipping, what with the still having been burned. So, even though she has
I just got this mental image of Sal, like, basically as Peridot, just, like, sitting there, like, quivering, like, no, I can control this.
That's the thing, though, is that she can't control her environment. Most importantly, she can't control Melly. She
to an extent she can have some influence, which was evidenced in that, because she was able to talk Melly down and keep her from going into the woods after the Wendigo right that moment.
There's a lot in Attaway. I've noticed a lot of characters do this, is they always, whenever they have like a personal plot issue, they always say something to the extent of, well, I don't want to drag the rest of the still into my problems. And I finally, like, as Sal got real sick of this after hearing it from a lot of different characters, and was just like, no, we're a family and we're here to help you. Yeah, Sal talks with that.
We need to ambush Lawrence with that. Because I don't know how long I can go without learning what's going on with Lawrence.
I mean,
definitely Hex too, but for me right now it's Lawrence.
Melly can just chase them both down and use the curiosity thing to like...
Yeah, like, Lawrence, like, I'm gonna have to tell Tim, like, Lawrence better watch out, because, like, Melly's gonna be stalking him.
She just wants to learn.
She just wants to know what's going on.
That's the thing, is that I learn so much from everybody I play with, and Sal learns things from everyone she plays with, like, or everyone she interacts with, like...
Okay, I want to give a shout out to Orphe's player.
Yes.
I just have such a huge admiration for this person, because you never know what is going to come out of their mouth, but it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Orpheus and Sal have this wonderful, like, complementary relationship where Orphe's all the words and Sal is all the deeds, and like Sal, like,
Lifts and grifts.
lifts and grifts, really. Like Orpheus is the front man, the con man,
the fast talker.
And Sal's the one with her hand in your pocket when you're paying attention to Orpheus.
Yeah.
And
gosh, just Kay is just so good at it. Like,
Kay is also extremely intuitive, very good at knowing what you're trying to do with your character and the best way to facilitate that and how to make the scene just work. Like, just so good at both initiating and pacing.
The scene at E1, the game off scene, were you at the Green Lantern?
No, I was not.
Okay.
The green room.
The green room.
Room
sorry.
Versus the Gilded Lantern.
The green room versus the green room. Just Kieran and Orphe, between the two of them, like, intimidating and charming Aerie into bleeding and crying was insane. And it was in a good way. Like, it was just like, I'm watching this happen. Like, everybody else is watching this happen going, wow.
I was very sad. I did not see it. I was on another mod.
What mod were you on?
I was in the Tunnels mod.
Okay.
I was in a mod where
well, I was like, that was so long ago.
It was so long ago.
I was
actually,
you were with the Tinkers.
I was with the Tinkers. That was a great mod because it also revealed something about Sal's character that I did not know.
Oh. I don't think I've heard this.
Okay,
so I got a phone call in the middle of the video and it stopped recording. So, you're going to start over and hopefully I'm going to be able to edit this to...
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was the game off mod of E1 and I was...
There were three.
There were
three separate game off mods. They separated us into groups based on what we were most interested in.
I went with the Tinkers because I was looking for... I hadn't gotten to do combat all event, and I was looking for a combat mod. I didn't end up...
Poor Sal in the boxing matches.
We'll get there. We're fighting these low-level water monsters called Kelpies. There was also a mermaid with them, which was strange but beautiful. And
that sounds like a mermaid.
And the Kelpies have acid attacks. They throw packets, and that's like to fizz wrap an acidic spit. And Sal apparently, I didn't even realize I was doing this until the NPC who was playing the Kelpie told me at Game Off, but Sal actually jumped between an acid spitting Kelpie and another character. It was Varia, actually.
Oh yeah, I can see that
because Varia is a ray of sunshine. I love this character. Sweet. She's one of the Tinkers, but she redefines what it means to be a Tinker.
Yeah.
Because she's not like one of these big dudes trying to either be tanky or like just totally game the crafting system.
She uses it to take care of the other characters.
That's what it is.
She builds armor.
She is an armorer. Her armor actually in the last event saved Crow's life, and Sal thanked Varia very, very deeply for that. But
Varia needs to build something that protects against rending blows.
But where would the fun in that be? Because then nobody would go into mortal jeopardy.
Right.
I think
well, it would be like the other armor, because the other armor only protects for like one.
Yeah.
So like if you got hit again, then it wouldn't protect you again. So let's not talk about stats.
No, we're not going to talk about stats.
She says after talking about stats.
So like I'm kind of like talking about like I always want to talk about Melly and Sal's relationship because again they are such an odd couple, and like Sal is really learning both how to be responsible in that she's trying to take care of somebody else, but also she is learning that you can't always have everything under control. And
limitations.
Yeah, like there was this wonderful moment after that whole Wendigo chase that Sal talked Melly out of continuing into the woods by herself, where I I had actually fallen down during that fight, cracked my elbow open, and was bleeding. So I went into the bathroom.
I didn't notice. I'm sorry.
It's fine. I went into the bathroom to wash up, and Kay came with me, and we just stayed in character while I was washing up and kept just talking about what had happened. And Sal was saying things like, Melly's gonna try again. Melly's gonna try to fight the Wendigo, go after the Wendigo again, and I have to stop her. I have to look after her. She's my responsibility. And Orpheus had this wonderful line of just, no, she's not. Like, just absolutely incredulous. Like, what do you mean she's your responsibility? No, she isn't. And,
So now I'm like, well, I need Melly and Orphe to have a scene where Orphe's, like, taking Melly to task about some stuff.
I want to know, what is Melly learning from Sal?
I honestly don't know if Melly is in a place right now where she can learn anything from Sal.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because her whole thing is learning.
Exactly. But it's very, I don't want to say controlled, because that's not the right word for it. But it's also, in a way, it's very self-directed. And it's also, it's like the difference between knowledge and wisdom.
Ooh.
So she has a lot of knowledge, but that doesn't always translate into wisdom.
High end, low is. High intelligence, lower common sense, maybe.
Definitely. Poor thing, she's never really had a chance to develop any common sense.
Yeah. But then again, neither is Sal.
Yeah. Like, I think that's where it comes from, like, things that she's already done that she doesn't have to do again, where that comes from of, like, she starts, like, badgering other people not to do the thing, is, like, that's her attempting to pretend to have common sense. like E2, when we found the body in the woods, she was the one going, why? No, let's not take this body back. Why are we taking the body back to the still? It doesn't make any sense.
That led to one of my favorite moments of E2.
I think I know which one you're talking about. John Doe?
So we find this body out in the woods. It's literally just a plastic skeleton that staff put out there.
Clarification.
Not a real body.
Not a real body.
And for some reason, John Doe was the one carrying it. And so we all had this, this was in the middle of the night, because this was Friday night.
In the middle of the woods.
Middle of the woods. And there was an NPC playing a police officer that we had to sneak past, and which Sal took care of by knocking him out.
Okay, because I think I know where you're going with this. So first, I want to say that one of my favorite parts about this was how John Doe originally got the NPC constable's attention by going, help, someone, help me.
Very much calling for help in the, like, Protestant minister voice.
In the most uninterested voice ever.
So eventually we sneak past the cop. John Doe is still, like, somehow someone had handed John Doe this cadaver. And so he's holding it, and, like, we get out of the woods, and like, the NPC who had hooked the plot, who was with us, is, like, going around, like, are you cool? Are you cool? Are you cool? He gets to John Doe, and John Doe, holding this body, is just like, I'm cool. One of my favorite parts. We have an amazing cast of characters, and I love that we all great. Have.
And John Doe specifically, like, has moments where he can be funny like that. Like, this was all funny, but he also has, like, this deeper aspect to his character, because, like, his gift is ghost, which means that, you know, he can deliberately, like, say to NPCs or to beasts or whoever, like, you don't see me, I'm not here, and they won't. But it also tends to kind of bleed into his everyday life, where people tend to forget he exists. And so that's very much become a thing. And so, like, it actually became, like, a joke last event, because his player was one of the ones that couldn't be there. And so, like, now, like, all the other players are like, he was there the whole time.
We just didn't
notice him.
It's actually great, though, like, because that's one thing about Sal, is that she, like Melly, loves to learn, except she learns from the people at Attaway directly. Crow has taught her things like how to pick a lock, how to tail someone without like them catching you. And a lot of other characters have also given Sal lessons and things. One of the players, Ryan, who plays, actually brought a practice lockpick set to game, and we all were learning how to actually pick locks, which was great fun. Sal has also had
Audrey learning how to pick locks.
I'm a hardened criminal.
I'm a hardened criminal, darlings.
Yes. Sal has also had stealth lessons from John Doe.
Wait a minute. Do you have is this from game or is
this I have, okay.
She has a scar on her knee.
I have a number of LARP scars now. I have been injured a couple of times in just being klutzy,
last event though.
Pratfalling a lot.
Everybody fell last event. You fell like 3 times.
I did. One time was on purpose.
Well, okay, we won't count that one then because it was on purpose. Like, and then like 2 people that I know of fell down the stairs. I was one of them.
Yeah. The first.
I just sort of forgot the last 2 steps were there,
So
and
it's like that. Cracked into the door. I've actually had a number of injuries at Denison. The first time I skinned my knee was not Attaway, but I was NPCing for Divine Intervention. And
which you will be.
I am now playing as of today. I am officially playing my second LARP, which is Divine Intervention, which is vastly different from Attaway in pretty much every way. But
yeah, it's one of those games that I kind of want to play, but mostly because I want to see everybody else's, all the other players who are now playing different characters who are so different from who they play at Attaway. But it's, you know, Attaway is very combat light, you know.
DI is very combat heavy.
Yeah, so a lot more physical stuff that I'm not sure that I could do, even just NPCing. So
yeah, first time I skinned my knee I was an NPC and I gave a verbal call, which was crushing trip. And then I tripped myself.
That sounds unpleasant. And you tripped yourself.
I was wearing a mask that had very low visibility, and I swung and like skidded on the pine needles and gashed my knee open, and that was the first time.
So is that basically like rolling a 1?
Yes, that is rolling a 1. And then
crushing trip.
And then it had fully healed. It was like totally scarred over. It was fine. And then I went to Attaway, and I fell down the stairs. I fell down the stairs of the community house, and like there was, the interior stairs have a closed door at the bottom, so I just went right down.
I was lucky the door was open when I fell.
Opened my leg again.
Oh no. Oh.
So, LARP safely, kids. Don't be like me.
Learn from Laura.
LARP safely.
What not to do. Learn from me. Like, make sure you're stepping on all the steps.
Yeah, know your limits.
Right.
And
definitely know your limits, because I definitely pushed myself past them at E2, and but E3 was very good. I mean, like, I noticed that there weren't a whole lot of things that were too far from the community house. Even when we went into the woods, they weren't very far, and they weren't, up steep hills like at E2 when we went in the Friday night. Like, that trek it wasn't far, but it was like up a lot of steep areas, and it wasn't a lot of fun.
I think the other thing is, like, know your limits emotionally, because we all needed a lot of decompression after that last event. Last event had a very heavy game off mod.
I'm really, I don't want to necessarily say surprised, but I'm kind of disappointed that so few people, like basically nobody, is interested in decompression like right then, because I'm the one that's kind of stepped forward to run it, but nobody ever stays for it. So
I mean, I personally, the reason I choose not to stay for it is because I prefer more intimate one-on-one decompression, which and also because post LARP, everyone wants to go home and shower. Everyone just wants to shower and sleep.
Yeah.
And
also, if we have a decompression channel on the Slack.
Yeah.
And I think that giving people doing that like gives people a chance to like really absorb what happened and think about it and feel it.
Yes.
So that they can talk about it. You know. So I mean, I get it, but it is a little disappointing.
I mean, yeah.
And I'm gonna keep offering, but
it's good. It's good of you to offer.
Yeah.
And I think that like, if there are people who need it right then and there, that's a good time and is a good place to have it. I just again prefer like just to like have like one-on-one conversations with people out of game. I prefer to utilize the Slack channel for a more like community kind of decompression, because I am very affected by bleed. I know you.
Yeah, I'm not
so much.
really.
But it is a thing that it also goes back to that place of using LARP to experience your emotions safely.
So what is bleed, Laura?
Bleed is when you experience the emotional turmoil or the emotions of your character, or it does go both ways. Your character might start to display like some of the emotions that you're having. I've experienced bleed both ways. I've had right after E3, definitely the day the going to work that Monday was really difficult. I definitely like caught myself getting pretty misty-eyed throughout the day whenever I would remember that the still is gone.
You know, it's so weird because like a lot of people were talking in the decompression after about the different reactions that their characters had. And like Sal definitely had a very emotional reaction. Very visceral because it was not only was the still her home, but then there are people there. Like this wasn't just the destruction of her home in the physical aspect of her home, but also like it was an attack on her family.
Like, and this was, sorry if I might interrupt, this was actually a kind of a LARP milestone for me, because this was the first time I physically literally wept in game. Like I've stage cried, and that's like whatever. I've got acting experience, but actually starting to cry in game, like real tears streaming down my face. We actually had one of the mechanics in the game is bleeding and crying, so people saw the tears rolling down my face and would be like, "Oh God, Sal, diagnose," and I would say, not bleeding, just crying.
Right. I think there were a lot of characters that were like at that point that was like, are they bleeding and crying or just crying?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what happened to Mitzi? Because Mitzi, I believe, was bleeding and crying.
No, this is the first time I'm hearing about it.
And her player is not online very much, so it's hard to get in touch with her.
Yeah. I think that
I mean, she might have just been crying, but whatever it was, like something happened.
I didn't see Mitzi cry. I saw Mitzi scream in righteous fury at the Lightfoots, which was kind of amazing.
It might have been bleeding and crying then, because I definitely do not think that Mitzi has iron in her soul.
She didn't kill anybody.
Okay.
No, I remember now. Mitzi was using an item.
Okay.
Mitzi was using an item.
Okay.
That had role play consequences.
Oh, okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
Okay. I need to remember that I still have consequences when I throw fire. I have been forgetting that, and I need to remember.
Take your consequences.
Yeah. Nobody seems to notice, but I want to be a good player and do that. But yeah, so Sal definitely has like these like big emotional things, and then there were other people who said that their characters maybe weren't attached to the still itself, but are more attached to the people, and that's why they're upset. And, or some people were like, they don't feel bad about losing the still for this reason, but it's for another reason. And then, like, so Melly it's so strange because for Melly, it wasn't necessarily an emotional attachment to either the still or even necessarily to the people, because her emotional attachment is to very few people. But it's she's just angry.
Yeah.
and the brew thing's not helping that. So yeah, because I think for Melly as a person, like, she's been so many places that she could just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I think I think she's upset for Sal's sake a little bit. Not in the moment. She wasn't.
That's
but
gonna be something that's gonna be really fun to play with in the future.
We're so looking forward to E4.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun to play with in the future because just everyone's reactions to the still being burned and to that loss, like.
And everybody's reaction was different.
I know Sal is going to, like, I'm going to make a few, like, costume changes to indicate, like, her feeling more closed off because of what's happened. I'm actually planning on maybe RPing her more as I originally intended her character to be, which was very withdrawn, and to see her have to come out of her shell after now having lost another home
and losing some of the connection she has with some of the people because of the other people's reactions.
Yeah, lots of other, like, but at the same time I'm hoping it's also going to, like, create more stronger bonds.
Yeah, and it probably will eventually.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're all like looking forward to the next event, which is going to be Culvere's Day, which is a very community-based holiday, and we're all going to be pulling together. And
I mean, I said it in the last video.
You did.
It's like it's community and isolation, and there's going to be so much to play with on those themes.
It's going to be exciting. I'm excited to see.
Staff is so brilliant.
I'm excited to see how.
Laura, what did we do to deserve such a brilliant staff?
I don't know, but let's keep doing it.
Yes.
I think it's just play great games.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited to see how Sal interacts with Crow after this, because Crow is also dealing with this loss is also taking this loss very hard. Orpheus also taking this loss very hard, because that's also the only home they've ever known. We actually...
And the thing is like Crow and Melly actually are reacting very similarly with anger, but on different sides of the debate.
Crow is very much he's not you keep joking that he's on the kill all the Lightfoot side, but he's more on the like do what we have to do to protect our own side, and
but is very much with a feel of, if that includes killing the Lightfoots, then that's what that means, and he's not against that. And Melly's very fervently against it.
I'm actually very excited to see how far down the dark road Sal is willing to follow Crow. I'm excited to see if Melly is willing to flip the script a little bit and to be the one chasing Sal down to try to make sure she doesn't run into something she can't handle.
It's gonna depend on what it is and what happens. Like, the thing about Melly is that it's so hard for a lot of things, not everything, but for a lot of things, it's so hard to predict how she's gonna react, because it very much will depend on the situation, and how it sets up and how it plays out. And also we have this discussion of, it's so hard for me to think like Melly. I make decisions based in my thought processes and not the way that Melly should be thinking about it, which I don't know how to fix that. I guess just play more.
Play more, absolutely. Get more of the experience. There are two ways to approach a character. One is inside out and the other is outside in. So, one way, which is something I've noticed that you do a lot is you do the thing and then later try to come up with something to justify it. And that's the outside in approach. It's like that's the here is the reaction and then let me think about why I had that reaction.
Right. I almost wish I didn't play this character because it's such a difficult thing. Insatiable curiosity as a result of an outside force when she was a baby. It's such a difficult thing to play for me because there's so much that I can't do.
Yeah.
That I do in a way have to think about it from my perspective because I have to think about, well, can I do this or not?
Yeah.
You know, and you know, physical reasons and you know, so like things like that. And so I almost wish I hadn't played her, but I'm having so much fun playing her.
There's always going to be an opportunity for another character to play.
Right.
And
Arc 2.
But how do I want to word this? Like, it is totally okay to react however you want to react and then justify it later. Yeah, you don't need to, like, again, don't worry so much about acting like Melly. Just like, react with what feels most like her in the moment. And I know you've talked about, like, having, like, that trouble, like, getting into her head.
Right. And that's the thing is I know that the outside in is perfectly valid, but it's not the way that I want to.
Yeah.
To be. I want to do the inside out.
That's the way I play Sal a lot, is the thinking about, like, okay, where has she come from? How is that going to inform the way she looks at this? But it's also definitely at the same time a lot of fly by the seat of my pants, because that's also who Sal is.
Because sometimes that's what you have to be because the staff is throwing shit at you
faster than you can think about it.
And they're so good at coming out of left field, so you have no idea that this thing was about to happen. So like, for example, we knew that the game off mod was going to have something to do with the Lightfoots. Because obviously it was going to. Of
course, we had encountered Ingrid the night before.
But did any of us expect that Ingrid would be in the still and set it on fire?
Oh man,
no.
That was a lot. That was a wonderful moment of, like, that inside out type of acting of, like, realizing Ingrid's in the still and then think, my character's home is being violated. My character's home, safe space, is being invaded. How is she going to react to that? And the first answer is with fury.
Yeah.
And when we all ran out the door to try to catch her or stop her or just deal with this, and there was, you know, the brewery on fire, and then the next reaction, because everyone is screaming things like bucket brigade and we have to put the fire out. That's the wait, no, I have to rein in this initial emotional response so I can help.
Right. And that was a moment where I really think I did better at being Melly and just thinking like Melly, because there was a moment when it was like, okay, fire. There's fire in the kitchen and in the still, and there's apparently fire elementals. I throw fire, probably not the best place for me.
Yeah. And
so I had to, you know, as Melly, make the decision to not go in there. And then the Lightfoot started coming out of the woods, and it was like, okay, this I can do.
Yeah. I had, like, kind of a similar thing, though. Again, I also do a little bit of the, like, when I look back on my acting, to be like, wait, why did I do that? Because that's the thing is...
because initially you wouldn't necessarily think that it would be a way that maybe Sal would react.
Exactly. Like, when we first got into the kitchen, Sal saw one of the NPCs, Rosie, who serves our meals, unconscious under a table. And she ran to get Rosie, and a fire elemental hit her with a brutal in the chest.
Ah!
And she went down, bleeding and crying. And she screamed for Crow to come and help her.
Yeah.
And he did, and he hauled her out, but she didn't think to grab Rosie. And
I don't think that's too far out of Sal.
Yeah.
Like, because that's, she went for Rosie.
She
and then
did.
something came out of nowhere. And, like, I
She
think
ha-
that instinct to call for help, especially for her dad figure, I think that's so Sal.
Here's the thing is that as soon as they were out, as soon as Crow pulled her out, when she looked up again, someone had also, I don't know who it was, someone had also grabbed Rosie, and Rosie was, like, hunched over. Like, Sal was literally, like, lying on one of the stone benches outside the community house. Like, Crow was, like, RPing, restoring her vitality. And Rosie is laying on the other one, and Sal was, like, waving Crow off of her, like, go check Rosie, because as soon as she was out and she was safe, that thought process clarified to her again, there is Rosie.
Yeah, and that's very natural, I think, even for Sal, because, Sal, like, is going to think about other people more than herself a lot, but when something happens and your instinct kicks in, that's for anybody. Like, that's survival instinct. And Sal may be willing to throw herself in front of a Wendigo for other people, but it's different. That's a choice that's being made, whereas being hit out of nowhere by a fire elemental isn't a choice. It's something that just happens.
Yeah.
So
like, there's always gonna be that, like, react, justify it later. But you can, like, I definitely, I like that healthy mix of inside out and outside in. I think you get a really good sense of the character you're playing to do both.
And I do think that for the most part, I do get the inside out when it really matters. For those, like, really intense scenes where it needs to be, and those tend to be the scenes also where Mellie's walls kind of drop.
Yeah. I love scenes like that.
Yeah.
You always really want to play a good character, but you want to, like, you don't need to be so focused on playing the character that you forget to have fun.
Yeah. And for me, it's like, I'm really glad that people enjoy playing with Mellie, but I don't really understand why. Like, to me, she seems like a very dull character.
She's a foil. She's a foil for a lot of characters. That's something I love about Attaway, is that we all came up with, like, we all have unique silhouettes and, like, really unique characters. We all, like, came together to make a really diverse set of a community.
Yeah.
And I don't think Mellie is dull at all. Mellie...
You know, you asked me earlier what Mellie has been learning from Sal, and she definitely would not know this. I have had some time to think about it, and she definitely would not know this, like, consciously, but, you know, Mellie has been kind of loosening up over the past, few events, and I think that's due to Sal.
She has developed this wonderful dry humor. She's very willing to state the obvious, but, like, it's absolutely fun. Like, when she states the obvious, she's not, like, oblivious to the fact that it's obvious.
Right. She knows very well she's stating the obvious. But she's not sure that other people know how obvious it is.
She's saying it, she's almost saying it, like, she's almost, like, being obvious about it ironically. She's almost like, she's like nobody wants to make the obvious joke, but she's the one who's gonna do it. And I love that. It's like, she's such a foil, but she's a foil to Sal, to Crow, to the other brewers.
Right.
Like, we, like, the brewers are all very specific kinds of people.
Right.
And
Teddy. I still haven't quite figured Teddy out, but yeah.
I appreciate that so much, that of the three brewers,
Mellie's actually kind of
Mellie's the only chemist. Mellie's the only actual scientist.
Well, no, I was gonna say, like, Mellie's actually the sanest, I think. Which is, wow.
I mean, Teddy's a moonshiner and Lawrence is a permit clerk. We don't even know how Lawrence learned to make brew.
Right.
Like, there's
And, like, again, I have to keep stating this. Like, Teddy has all the bad ideas without the excuse of insatiable curiosity. So...
But I appreciate that his presence means that Melly can exercise her curiosity without being the weird one. Like Teddy almost gives Melly permission to do something crazy.
Right, because here's the deal. Is I also am not as imaginative as I wish I were.
Lies!
No, it's true.
This is a lie.
Because no, I love Teddy because he comes up with the bad ideas and then Melly can be like,
yeah, do it.
Yeah, let's do that. That sounds great, actually.
I actually knew a husband and wife couple who was like that, where...
I had 2 aunts that were like that.
Where, like, one of them always had the bad idea, but never the guts to do it, and the other could never come up with the bad idea, but always would do it.
I had 2 aunts like that. One of them was the enabler, and the other one, she came up with the bad ideas, and... The bad idea usually involved my other aunt mooning people, and no, it gets better because the aunt that was mooning people was Pentecostal.
So basically what you're saying is that I should talk to Tim, who plays Teddy, and say, convince Melly to moon people?
No!
That's what I'm getting from this.
Melly would say yes, I'm saying no.
That's what I'm getting from this.
Melly's not going to be mooning people anytime soon. Okay, look, one of the moons that had involved the enabler aunt drawing a huge pair of red lips on the other aunt's butt, so that when she mooned the person she was going to moon, there was just big red lips.
Come to Attaway.
Come to Attaway. If you want to see my ass. No, it will not be happening.
Disclaimer,
it will not be happening. Oh man. No, but Tim should have Teddy like give Melly all the bad ideas. And I'm going to try and be better, which I was at E3 about actually like, because at E2, Melly was like, you have all the bad ideas. What is this? I don't understand. And then it was like, afterwards, I was like, why was she doing that? Like, that doesn't make any sense for her character to be like that. I mean, it was funny at the time, especially with the sick burn by Alessandro and Rick.
Oh, yeah.
Which was so funny because...
What was that? That was this is the bad ideas table? Aren't you sitting
Melly, you're sitting at the table. That was Alessandro, and then Rick comes by and like murmurs in her ear, detect
bleeding and crying.
I thought so. And it was just so perfect. And then later, it was so funny because that was like actually the first interaction that Melly and Rick even had was that. And so later in the event was when Melly drank the bad brew, and Rick was the grower that ended up helping her like go and take a refresh action and you know, kind of you know, get better after the initial chaos. And so me and the player took a moment to just sit and talk out of game, where he was like, you know, and I was like, that was, you know, that burn last night, that was perfect. And he was like, I hope you weren't, because we didn't really talk before that, I hope that was okay. And I was like, that was perfect. Do it anytime, please.
We have a wonderful community. I like everyone's characters are so like unique, like I keep saying a unique silhouette.
Yeah.
And that's just physical like costuming, is we've all got such like distinct costumes, but also we have like
Hex in his jacket.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The character of Hex.
Did he make that?
No.
Okay.
The character of Hex has a beautiful gray pinstripe jacket embroidered with skulls.
Yes.
Very good. Very good.
And the it's like a medium gray, and then the skulls are embroidered in like a light gray, so they don't stand out a lot. You kind of have to be close to him to see them.
They're very good.
So good.
But also the fact that, again, just the, like, variety of who we are.
Right. And we were talking about Varya earlier, and I wanted to mention that, you know, Varya is so sweet, and she, you know, as a tinker, she focuses on protecting people, and now she's got fireflies.
She does, because she was Fey touched in a previous event.
Yeah.
So
she's got these vines that wrap around, and the player has put like Christmas lights. On them, and the Christmas lights like simulate
fireflies. There, it feels right for fireflies. It's actually really great, like the idea that like all the players who unlock the wild color sideline, like everyone comes up, like they've all come up with really creative ways to fizz rep that.
So fun fact, originally before the whole thing about the bad brew came up, that was gonna be Melly's sideline.
Was the wild color?
Yeah.
I'm glad you went mutant though.
Yeah, because I'm the only one who has.
Yeah, Melly is the only one who has drunk the contaminated brew.
Melly's the only one stupid enough to drink the bad brew.
No, okay. I thought about...
I think Teddy would wanted to. So bad.
Yeah, he asked you how it tasted.
Yeah.
See, I also...
And see, that's an example of where I'm not creative, because I'm like...
It's a lie!
No, because like... Well, I shouldn't say I'm not creative, but I don't think well in the moment. Because... Yeah. And then even later, I'm like trying to think of it. It's like, I don't know. It's bitter. What? It's fine.
I mean, hey, that was kind of how I felt when last event, my character Sal, Hex, whose gift is Wither, withered both her arms.
Poor Sal in the boxing.
It was fun.
Poor Sal just cannot get a break in the boxing matches.
If you've watched Celestine's prior videos, you know what happened to Sal in the boxing matches. But Hex withered her limbs and twice. And there had been the previous joke of Melly wants to know what that wither feels like. And so after it happened, Sal made the comment to Melly of, "Oh yeah, now you don't need Hex to do it. I can just tell you what it's like." And Celestine here did this great thing where she was writing in her little journal, closes it, and just okay, go on, and tells like now, and that kind of caught me off guard. I didn't realize we were gonna
it's Melly. Did you think it wouldn't be right then?
No, I should have realized. But then I got to again have that come up with what did the wither feel like to you, and get that in that moment.
Yeah,
and
Melly actually did not bother Hex about it as much, because I actually, as the player, did not realize that it was something that could be healed.
Yes.
So I didn't actually want it to happen until I realized, oh, she could just go to a grower and get her arm grown back? Okay.
Purge maim is a thing.
Yeah, so I didn't know that. So it actually never happened because she only bothered Hex about it twice, and every time Hex was like, okay, which took me off guard because I didn't realize that it was something that could be healed, but only when we're near a grower.
Yes.
And so, but later I realized that's why he was saying only when we're near a grower, so that, she could be healed immediately.
It was actually it's actually a lot of fun. Staff gives us a lot of leeway to play with how things in the game work, specifically the Wither gift.
Yeah.
Which hang on, I want to, because I had this great conversation, or Sal had a great conversation with Hex about it, where Hex was where Sal asked him at one point, oh, has anyone ever withered you? And he said, no, I've never been withered. I have no idea what it's like. And so she described to him, exactly as she had described to Melly, what the wither felt like to her. And then we had this great continuing RP of, he's like, well, I can also make it worse. I can also make it hurt. He was like, if I'm maiming with prejudice,
right,
I can make that a much more painful experience. I was going easy on you. And oh man,
Hex, man, Hex. I love Hex, but Hex is kind of an asshole.
Okay, but Hex and Sal actually bonded a lot.
I saw that.
Even though he melted her arms off, he made it up to her.
Yeah,
he made it up to her by giving her a fair fight.
I have to wonder, because it happened at both the boxing events. First it was DeLuca at E1, and then Hex, and it's are the people who are setting this up, are they pairing the characters up specifically to make this happen? Because not every character can do that. Like, who knew that DeLuca could do that to Sal?
I think DeLuca used an item. I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay.
But, I, like, it was, again, that was, like,
Yeah.
a player choice that was, it was also a player choice made that, like, Sal forgave Hex because he gave her a second chance at a fight.
Yeah.
But she didn't forgive DeLuca because his way of making up to her was to try to ply her with imps and items.
Right. And that's yeah, like, for Sal, that's not fair. That's not what fairness is, and that's not how you make it up to somebody. Yeah.
And that was, again, that's one of those, like, where that's an inside out thing. That's your character's history is going to define how they react to that. And like, no, it's okay. It's okay. They're trying to give Sal actual fights because she was supposed to fight the Brutant before it got purged.
Really?
Yeah, because when Ingrid came in with her Brutant, another NPC, Nikki Knox, was talked some shit
and got shot for it.
Yeah, but he was like, oh, you want a good fight, and he pointed at Sal and said, the one in the red kerchief.
Yeah,
and, like,
I remember that. Mm-hmm.
And so Sal was setting up to fight the Brutant, and then while all our backs were turned because we were all prepping with items and like getting like a little bit of a strategy.
Here comes Izzy.
We just hear from behind us, "Purge brew," and we all just turn around like, huh? Huh?
And I'm sorry, I still, like, I love that moment because after it happened and the Bruton went down, then it was just like a rain of packets. I guess everybody who had, like, collected packets were like, we might as well use them.
And then we had, and then Ingrid called a calm, and all the players had been given at the start of the event Mary's Blessing, which would allow them to turn any calm call into an insight call or vice versa. So when Ingrid called calm, that was when Sal decided, no,
I won't be calm.
I won't be calm, and tried to punch her through her power armor.
I'm just sitting there, I'm watching you with these red fist bombers, like, pouncing on Ingrid, who's wearing this amazing armor.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, Sal is hitting armor with her fists right now.
Yeah, she really was. And and Brittany, who played Ingrid, did this amazing, like,
she was
like the slow head turn of, like, I don't even like a fly. Like you are just an annoying fly buzzing around me for all the damage you're doing.
Brittany was amazing as Ingrid. Oh my god.
Terrifying. Absolutely. Terrifying.
And Brittany's a tiny little thing, but it didn't matter.
That was another like thing about the size perception. Is Brittany is so much shorter than me in real life, but Ingrid felt big. Ingrid felt like this, like, towering giant of threat. And
and turned Sal into a tiny vibrating vessel of hate.
I mean, that was great because, like, there were other people around me just being like, Sal,
like, you know, like, everybody's gonna be like, Sal's not gonna do well with this.
Sal thinks she's a badass. She's kind of squishy. Like, I'm so excited to see how far she's gonna follow Crow down the dark road of how are we gonna deal with these Lightfoots, because Dean has talked to me about this, of how like Sal doesn't have iron in her soul. She thinks she does. She's wrong.
She so does not.
It's exciting, and I love that, like Melly being in the camp of, like, no, we're not gonna lose our humanity.
Yeah, because she's afraid of losing her own. So, and she does not have coping mechanism or iron in her soul.
Yeah.
And I'm making the executive decision that she's never going to.
Oh yeah, neither is Sal.
So yeah, and that could affect things. Foig.
Foig.
So, yeah. I was going to say something else about Brittany and Ingrid. I don't remember. I'm old.
It's okay. It's okay. Honestly, like, we have some excellent villains in the form of Ingrid. The Wendigo's a monster more than a villain, but
I don't know, but still, the way that Peter is like in that mask and and is it the mask that makes that screech?
No, it's a whistle.
Oh.
I don't think I've ever explained this. Okay, so the sound that the Wendigo makes is made by an Aztec death whistle.
Okay,
Yes.
That's what that is. So I saw people talking about it, and I've seen a picture of it, but I did not know that that's what made that sound.
Fun fact, the whistle was originally used at DI, at Divine Intervention, during a fight, so it was a lot of fun to... I knew it was coming. I guessed when I talked to Peter... I had guessed.
That's the thing. Okay.
I had guessed that it was the whistle he was bringing in from DI. And so I knew it was coming. So when we're all out Friday night and we heard that sound.
By my voice, fear, and then that sound.
Whistle. It's just this high-pitched, like...
And it doesn't sound like a whistle to me.
No.
It sounds like a screech. I really thought it was an electronic screech. I thought it was the mask.
No, it is a whistle that he is blowing under the mask. And so when I heard that first Friday night after, like when the whistle was first implemented, I got to watch everybody who had also been at Divine Intervention just be like,
we know that noise.
Yeah.
I keep accidentally like stumbling upon things that were like not Divine Intervention, but what's that other one everybody's always talking about?
Port Catherine?
No. It's over. It's done. It's
Ballad?
No.
Outpost?
No.
Second Dawn.
Second Dawn. I keep accidentally stumbling upon things that are references to Second Dawn. Like I actually like sent Megan a link to giant googly eyes.
Which was a
huge thing in Second Dawn, and I did not know that when I sent it to her. And she just lost her shit because it was a Second Dawn thing. And like I keep doing things like that and making references or saying things that people are like, oh, that's a Second Dawn thing. And I'm like, okay.
We have a wonderful LARP community.
Yeah.
I really love it. I'm so grateful that I'm a part of it. And
I would really love to see the Wendigo with googly eyes, though. I'm just saying.
It's gonna be. I don't know. I know they're gonna make it like bigger and scarier.
Oh, absolutely. Because
the Wendigo
2.0.
It's out for revenge.
Like, because they let us kill it so early because. Now we found out another one's gonna rise in its place. So yeah, it's gonna be bigger.
When one dies, another is called.
Wendigo, the Gifted Slayer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So how are they gonna make it bigger and scarier though? It's like
I can't wait.
Put Peter on stilts.
Peter's got like the creepy smile too, and we've made so many jokes about if you can see Peter smiling under the Wendigo mask, it's too late.
First of all, you're too close. You're way too close. Yeah, and it's too late. And then like everybody has been telling us, so next to Megan, Peter's the worst one to give ideas to, and Laura and I just say we know what we're doing.
I'm very excited to see some terrifying shit come out of this LARP. I mean, and you, like I said, I was telling Laura earlier, the fact that we had 3 Wendigo related surgeries this last event is totally our fault because we told Peter we're ready for the killing to start. We are ready for the killing to start.
And he just grinned.
I'm really glad that we have more people like going into Mortal Jeopardy because it's feeling now a lot scarier.
Right.
A lot
the stakes are higher.
Right, exactly. A lot higher stakes. I do at least once want to put Sal into Mortal Jeopardy. Just once. Just once.
I want it to happen so bad.
Celestine is like my dark Kermit because like we like all the way up to leading up to E3 we're talking about what if this bad thing happens? What if this worse thing happens? What if this even worse thing happens? And for some reason all of them kept ending in Sal being in mortal jeopardy. And then we get to E3 and it was for this one. Melly went into mortal jeopardy. Sal's still fine. Sal's never...
That's because Sal followed the rules. When has Sal ever followed the rules?
When it was Hex's plan? That's... No, I am excited for, like, the role play possibilities of being in mortal jeopardy.
And I enjoyed being in mortal jeopardy and having the surgery done and that role play. I enjoyed that, but I more so enjoy watching, like, having the role play of somebody that my character cares about. So that's why I wanted it to be Sal so badly, is not only for Melly, but also for Crow and for the other characters that are close to Sal.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see how everybody would react. I still want to see it. I want to see it so bad.
Okay, I will run directly into a bullet.
Do it. Do the thing. Do the thing.
I have a lot of LARP dreams, actually. Like, when I sleep, I
dream
about Attaway a lot. And I have now dreamed about being in mortal jeopardy twice.
It's gonna happen. One more time and it's gonna happen.
Oh my god. Yeah, that'll be fun. So
Ori, or not Ori, Alora.
Yeah.
Ori's the player. Okay, I'm gonna preface this with I was kind of out of it, so, but I want to say that she was relatively quiet at the beginning of her surgery, and so was I. But I can see Sal, like, really, like, being screaming, like...
See, you keep saying that, but I've thought about it. I've thought about how I would play it. And Foig. And...
Okay. Fine, then.
Foig stands for Find Out In Game. And
it's the most frustrating thing anybody can say.
Yep. And, I have thought about a lot about how I would play it, about, like, it would change depending on what circumstances. I actually also really enjoyed being on the sidelines of Melly's surgery and Alora's surgery because...
So now you know how I feel.
Yeah, I loved doing those role plays with you and with Ori, like, because Sal just... empathy meter off the charts. So, like, when people she cared
about... to think that you were gonna play her as, like, this, like, distant, like, you know, and I know... I don't think it could ever have happened. Like, so much empathy in this character.
It was not planned. And that's something I love about when characters take you by surprise with what they're gonna do and how they're gonna be. And also that now gives me a chance to, in E4, in reaction to the burning of the still, to now get to play Sal as being withdrawn, as being, like, isolating herself and not wanting to deal with what's going on.
So when we finally find out the date for E4, when we find this out, I think, like, maybe a week beforehand, because this happened for E2, but it didn't happen for E3. Somebody posted what has your character been up to? We definitely need to make sure one of those posts goes up.
Oh yeah. I'll make sure. I'll message Megan. Because what can
Megan will probably
doing?
tell you, just go ahead and post it.
I know, but always good to ask. Because
staff wants so much to be player driven.
Yes. I mean, we did talk about what Melly and Sal did between Flux Day and Mary's Tide. We made it canon that when after Melly drank the corrupted brew and gained her mutation, we actually made it canon that between events, Sal was helping Melly practice with that. Sal was helping Melly like study her new ability and learn how to use it. Yeah. I believe
So I would like to say at this point that the thing that we were talking about, which I think you were about to bring up,
was it what Peter came up with?
Oh no! Okay, it must be something different.
Okay.
So one of the things that we talked about was, like, Melly standing there with, like, goggles on.
This is what I was. Say.
Okay, and like
Sal with a bucket of gasoline.
ready.
Okay, Sal, I'm ready.
So I actually think that probably would not have happened, not because they didn't try, because I could like. So basically, in my head, they were about to do that when somebody stopped them and said, "It would probably be a better idea to try it on a smaller area."
Probably a grower.
Probably a grower, yeah. Probably like, Audrey.
Probably Alessandro or Rick.
Yeah, honestly, Audrey would have tried to talk them out of it altogether, I think.
I think it would have been either Alessandro or Rick to be like, maybe.
That's who else was sitting at the table when the Tinkers were talking about making a crumb stomach, because they were trying to talk Rick into doing the surgery, and Rick was finally like, you know what? Fine.
Yeah,
you find somebody who wants it, I'll do it. Oh yeah. So Rick or Alessandro would be like, we're not going to try and talk you out of it altogether, but you might want to start with a smaller area, and which would be a good thing, because I've decided that the ability to throw fire does not mean that Melly is immune to fire.
Yes.
So throwing gasoline on her would not have been the best idea.
Fire manipulation does not mean fire resilience.
Right, because if you mutate like that, you have to fizz rep it. So my choice was to just paint burns onto my hand.
If you saw the previous video
and the pictures, yeah. So like, with that choice, that means that she's not actually immune to the fire. She maybe has a little bit more of a resistance than other people would.
Yeah.
But she's still flammable. So
I thought about taking the mutant sideline myself. Which
do
is
it.
Considering also that Sal like consciously does not brew for backstory reasons.
Okay, so my phone, again, did the thing where the storage was full and it stopped filming, but my phone's about to die anyway, and Laura has to be heading home.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, we have to, like, stop filming.
We didn't get a chance to talk about everything that we wanted to.
Right, and, I mean, I may actually end up having to split this video into 2 videos, because we talked for so long, which is great. About a lot of things. But I hope that this was fun. I hope you enjoyed meeting Laura.
Hello.
And getting her perspective on her character and on Attaway.
And I thank you again so much for having me as a guest. And I hope that to come back soon and we can talk more about Attaway and Sal and Melly and all the amazing fun we have together.
Yay! So just remember that I love you all and that you were made of stardust. Mwah.
Mwah.
Bye!